Hi, I'm Ron with Cruising This Old Boat, and today I'm going to show you how to set up the VDash display for use with your Chetco Seagauge G2 analog to digital converter. If you don't already have your VDash software installed on your computer, go ahead and do that first. And the first thing you want to do is connect your VDash to your Chetco. Do that with the supplied cord that comes with your Chetco and plug it into your computer. Open the program up and you can move it around just like any Windows program. You can make it bigger. You can see in the upper left here it says disconnected, so we need to connect the software to the Chetco. You do that with this little arrow in the upper right hand corner. Just click on that and your display comes up. You can see that it says connected and it's counting time, which lets you know that it's actually communicating with your Chetco Seagauge G2. Now it comes pre-set up to some display. I'm not sure if this is exactly what it looked like when it first came. I've been using mine, but I've tried to put it back to what I think it was just so I can show you. But the display it comes with, as it was for me, may not fit your setup. So for instance, you can see here I have I have 4 gauges showing starboard function: starboard volt, starboard temp, starboard oil, and starboard transmission pressure. I don't have a starboard engine. I only have one engine, and generally when you only have one engine, you hook everything up to the port engine. It's just kind of a standardized thing. So I want to get rid of all these starboard gauges. They're meaningless to me on the screen and they just take up what I want to see. So to get rid of a gauge, all you have to do is right click on the gauge. Now the gauge I just clicked on is starboard temp, so I'm going to go down and I'm going to find starboard temp, which is right here. Go over to the next selection screen and go all the way to the bottom. You see where it says none. So I'm going to click none and that gauge goes away. It's no longer displayed. So I'm going to do that for each of the remaining starboard gauges because I don't want any of them. So we're going to find starboard transmission pressure. Go down and click none. Starboard volts, get rid of that. And starboard oil, and that would be oil pressure is what it's reading. Alright, now I also don't have and don't intend to hook up anything to my transmission, so I'm going to get rid of this port transmission pressure. And I also don't have this hooked up to my alternator. I may do that down the road, but currently it's not. So just to keep my screen clean, I'm going to get rid of the port volts. That leaves me my tachometer, my temperature gauge, and my oil gauge. I do want to hook up my fuel gauge, so what we're going to do is add that. To add a gauge, all you do is put your arrow about where you want the gauge to be and right click. So for now we're just going to put it right around here, so we're going to right click there. We're going to go down to port fuel, and you see here you have quite a few selections. You can do it as long text, in a bar graph, just different things, and you can play with the different things to see what you prefer, how you want it displayed. I currently have the small dials. Now it chooses where to select it just based on where you generally put the arrow. It has actually pre-designated boxes. You can't see them, but they are there. If you accidentally overlap them, it'll actually show you the boxes. Now if you want to move these around, You can't actually grab them and move them. So if you want to move one, you actually have to delete it and then reinstall it elsewhere. So let's take the port temp, let's move it over. So port temp, we're going to click none, and then we're going to go over here and place it over here. So port temp and small dial, there it is. Let's move the oil up. So port oil, none, and we're going to put it dead center. So right click in the center and port oil, small dials, and then let's move the fuel up. So port fuel, none, port fuel, small dials. Alright, so now I got them all kind of in line. The port oil didn't end up exactly in the center, but that's okay. These are the 4 gauges that I currently have hooked up, so this is what I want my screen to look like. Once you have the screen set the way you want it to be, you go to this little disc. It looks like a 3.5-inch floppy disk. Go ahead and click that. It wants to know if you want to save the labels, say yes. Save the page definition, say yes. And save it to NMEA 2000, say yes. And that's it. It is now saved. So now if we exit the program and then come back into it, reconnect to the Chetco, and you can see it brought up what you had selected. So that's all there is to it. You just decide which kind of gauges you want, which ones you want to display, and save it as I showed you, and it's there. So anytime you go to troubleshoot your Chetco or make changes in your Chetco, the screen on your VDash will look exactly how you want it to look. Thanks for watching.